Oh,
All right.
Yeah,
Let's get
tough.
to this second to last question that I wrote down here, and this is maybe sort of a downer, but uh, how do you stay positive, and how do you deal with times when the community is upset at a company like Riot?
Um, to me, I used to feel that part of my role was to help keep people from getting mad. I used to like
Mm.
believe that. And like if you look around the industry, like what the perception of like especially community managers, which I never technically was, but like uh the perception is that, right? That like it's their job to manage the emotions of an uh unbelievably massive crowd of people on the internet, right? And at some point in time, first I came to like kind of believe it just in an intuitive way, and now I think finally found the words to talk about it, which is that I don't believe that at all. Like I don't think anybody has the responsibility to like manage the emotions of people online, or you shouldn't at least. Like if you've accepted that responsibility, like I feel sorry for you because that's not. I don't think it's really doable. Um, because I think that when people get mad on the internet, it's definitely not on one person to solve. Uh, like sometimes players are mad because there's a thing with the product that should be changed, right?
mhm,
And I think if you're doing communications, I think it's really just your job to help articulate what they're saying in a way that is like really clear to the people who can make that change, right? If they have the wherewithal to make it. Or so that they can understand like the scope of it and maybe fix it. but but the only thing that's going to calm them down is if that change gets made, right? So it's not really, it takes a whole team to like fix that, right? And then other times people on the internet, like groups of people on the internet get mad and it's really like performative, like it's a performance. It's like they're using a group kind of action as leverage, as like a form of power to try to get something changed that they would like to have. Like make all the skins free, which is not a real thing that anyone's ever said, but like, I think
Oh,
if people
somebody
thought that
said
they
it.
could get us to do it, they would try, right? Um, and so to try to calm people down would be like it would be I don't know, it would be missing the point. So like I've started to think of my job in a different way that makes me feel a lot better about even when people are mad or whatever. I go, my job is to help. It's to be a bridge, right? It's to help devs understand what is happening, and it's to help players understand what devs are going to do, or what devs are doing, or what devs are thinking about this thing. Like if players are mad about, for a long time we didn't bring picker back as an example, right?
mm,
Um, a long time, and we never did say why, and it always bothered me that we didn't say why. I wanted to say why. The reason was that every time we turned it on, like the player base, it'd be right here, right? It would spike up, and then when we turned it back off, it would be like lower than before. And we have a bunch of theories about why that was, but basically we were like we didn't really know why. We were just like, dude, every time we turn on Earth, it like kind of kills the player base, like to like a meaningful extent, right? Like it makes people burnt out on the game. We didn't know. We were like speculating, but um, and like part of my like understanding of that being a bridge, I pushed for us to take a different approach, which was to communicate that, to let players see it the same way we were seeing it.
mhm.
And so we did. We put out this post. This was like years ago, where we were like, "Hey, here's the reason we haven't brought Pickback Earth in a long time." And what was crazy was because players didn't know it, they had no
Yeah.
idea because they were like they were just like they're not bringing it back because they hate us and or whatever, right? Like they just because in the
Yeah.
absence of an explanation, you come up with whatever the most likely, I guess,
Mm.
explanation is. They were like, so they had no idea, but you would see all this like kind of hilarious speculation of like they're not bringing it back because they think it's more fun than Summoner's Rift, and and they're embarrassed of the manga, right? Like whatever.
Yeah.
They had all these theories. Once we put out the information and like the real reason, everybody was like, "Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you probably shouldn't kill your own game, huh?" And like not everybody, right? Like there were definitely some people who were like, "Screw that, give me Picker." Um, but it was like it created this bridge. Now we could talk about Earth in a more proactive way. And I think us I don't want to take too much credit because it was like a lot of people that agreed that that was the right thing to do is tell players that. But like it allowed us to. I think the first time we brought back Pick Earth was last year for the 10-year anniversary, right? And we were able to come out and give a really simple reason for it, which is we were like, hey, when you last heard from us, we said that we think this kills the game. We still think that, but who cares? It's the 10-year anniversary, right?" And everybody was like, "Yeah, pretty cool." Because I don't know, it was like it enabled us to have a bridge, have a line of communication open that we wouldn't have
Yeah.
otherwise. We might not have even felt like we could have brought it back if we didn't think that we could talk about it in a way like that, right? Um, I'm not even sure what the latest is on Picker. Maybe we found since then that the effect isn't as bad as we thought, or
Right.
whatever. Because we've run it a
Could be
couple times.
temporary. Yeah.
I've heard. All right. I've heard at least one senior leader at Riot say that Picker is Riot's equivalent of the McRib, which the McRib at
I've heard that
McDonald's.
Yeah.
before.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
this
Jeff said
senior
that.
leader, he referred to it as the McRib, and I was like, oh my god. So that might be the new philosophy. It's the McRib. We just bring it back on a seasonal
Yeah.
basis or to like celebrate certain things. I don't know. I'm not here to make any
Yeah.
announcements about that. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But the point is, like, whatever it is that we decide to do with it, we'll communicate it now, I think, in a way that's like really straightforward and like understandable. And that'll let the devs feel better about it, let players feel better. Like the end result is that I think people are a lot calmer and a lot cooler about it. But if I had ever approached that, to bring it back to the original point, if I had ever thought that my job is to calm people down, I don't think I would have ever advocated for just telling them that, the reason we're
Yeah.
not bringing it back. Anyway, yeah, that turned into a tangent, but it's one of the ways I think about these things.
Yeah, that's
Pickers,
awesome. And I just wanted to
McRib
bring an
delivers.
example up
The
of that,
McRib of
real
League. That's
quick.
what.
The McRib League. When you guys brought up the data about why Nexus Blitz wasn't actually a very popular game after a certain amount of time, more and
Yeah,
more people were educated. Like, hey, this game was very popular in this circle, but it
right.
generally didn't have the same level of popularity among all players.
That one's so tough because if you love a thing and then someone comes out
Hmm.
with data that's like, yeah, but not everybody
Not
did,
everybody.
it doesn't. I think that one's. I'm still trying to figure out if I fully understand that one because I thought that it would totally. Everybody be like, all right, cool, later, Nexus Blitz. But actually, the people who really loved it are like, they're not really satisfied with that answer,
Hmm.
And like, I kind of get it. Like, I kind of get it. So that's an interesting one too. I think like sometimes that stuff works, but a lot of times there are people, and it's not even just selfishness. It's just like it's pretty reasonable to be like, hey, but I love the thing. Can I just have it sometimes?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. I'm still. That being said, I'm still glad that we went out and showed that graph, that infamous graph
Yeah.
that's like Texas Blitz down here by Twisted Tree Line or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think if we hadn't done that, then people would have been a lot more people would have been confused, and a lot more people would have been like not understanding the situation the same way that we understand it.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
I want to equate it to something maybe not everyone can relate to, but it's like, man, I eat out a lot, or man, I don't eat out a lot. But then whenever I've had to stay at home, I've noticed I've had a lot more money in my bank account at the end of the month.
Right. Totally.
So
Yeah.